We made it, at least to the base camp. Congratulations are certainly in order. This was some hard work. But surely, this is not the summit. No, friends, we are just here to catch our breath for a minute. It's a mere respite from the harsher conditions that remain out there on the mountain. Here, in these walls, we are positioned safely. We have the opportunity to check our supplies, make sure our tools are in order, and enjoy one another's company for a bit. But tomorrow we continue the ascent. We press onward and into the charge that was just given to us. As we get ready to set out again, I would like to bring to mind some of the tools we have all hopefully picked up along the way. Each of these is a lesson I've learned, and although the content of the courses I've taken is invaluable, these lessons come through the experience of graduate school, first at Emmanuel and then again here at Milligan and the counseling program. The first tool I want to share is understanding. Understanding comes through listening to others and to ourselves. Understanding comes when we get curious, have patience, and ask the right questions. When we listen to understand, we demonstrate that we value the beauty of God's creation and the worth of all people in God's creation. It is only once we have listened with the intent of understanding that we are able to move into action, seek justice for the oppressed, and show compassion to the hurting. Another tool we will use on the mountain ahead is humility. I will never forget my first day of graduate school at Emmanuel. I've never felt so unequipped and patently ignorant in all my life. After putting my best effort into studying, I earned a mere 72% on the first exam. Truth be told, I considered transferring to a less rigorous school, but I was committed to the charge of making the most of my educational opportunity and to developing my mind and skills to the fullest extent of my capabilities. So I did what successful people do. I surrounded myself with people smarter than me, and I asked question after question after question. Which brings me to the third tool that is refined here at Milligan. The lesson that the mountain is deadly when we go it alone. The myth of rugged individualism conquering the wild is reckless and foolhardy. If you are like me, you are keenly aware that completing a college degree takes the loving sacrifice of a mass community of others, including teachers, partners, children, parents, and grandparents. Some of their help we will never know, but I can promise you this: somewhere there was a prayer warrior in her prayer closet, standing the gap on your behalf. One of the most significant tools we'll take with us as we go back out is grit. Also known as persistence, grit is one of the utmost lessons that students learn, even though it's not found in the content of our textbooks. One has to have an abundance of grit just to juggle their relationships, illnesses, children, financial strain, and a career while in school. If you can do all that, you can take on the world. Everyone here knows that it takes a tremendous resolve to press in and push past the disappointment of a low mark, a failed course, a complex subject. But it's good that we know that, because that is what it's like all the way to the top of the mountain. When I was in seminary, I used to joke with my peers in our Hebrew class, look, I'd say, if we can make it through memorizing all this vocabulary and conjugate all these verbs, there's nothing our parishes will throw at us that we can't handle. The fifth tool is one that helps hold all the others together. All the others are contained within courage. The really nerdy part of me would love to trail off here with Tillich and lay out the text, The Courage to Be, or drop some of Brene Brown's brilliant insight. Let me spare you and just note that you gotta be brave to push through the storms. To be vulnerable enough to be in relationship and to practice humility, it takes courage to put yourself out there. And for goodness sake, let's throw in a sense of humor too. A little joy goes a long way on the trail, and it even lightens the load a bit. Understanding, humility, community, grit, joy, courage. We will need these tools on the mountain because we have not seen the last of our failings. Yes, friends, my inspiring words to you are that we are not through with the disappointment of failure. It's true. Everyone in this room will fail many more times. The good news that by this point, we know how to do it well, and we can do it quickly. We have the right equipment, so we will make our way forward in spite of these obstacles. Actually, my inspirational words are these. When you do fall, get up. If you've made it this far, then we all know that you have what it takes. So get up, take heart, press on. You're not your failures. In fact, might I suggest that in addition to keeping your diploma, you hold on to that 72% exam, so that when you feel grossly incompetent in the very near future, you're reminded that it's still possible to pull off an A and even graduate. Take it from this high school dropout who now holds 2 master's degrees. When you finally find and choose to walk in the will of God, and you seek to honor God in all that you do, you will not only climb mountains, you will move them as well. I do not know the details of the rugged road that brought each of you to this particular base camp, but I do know that each of us was called here for one reason or another. Hopefully, that was to gain valuable skills that we can use in our respective vocations. Perhaps it was simply to pick up some valuable lessons or some friends as you continue on the journey. Regardless, may this be a point that we set out with specific coordinates, pursuing the highest apex of all, bringing forth the kingdom of God. And this is the final and most important tool that we have. It's our why. Remember your why. Remember what brought you here in the first place, because that's what's going to keep you going. Don't be afraid of rejection letters or lack of second interviews or a job that you might lose. All of that is just noise. It won't tell you anything about whether or not you're on the right path. You see, some people have the idea that when things are going smooth and everything is great, well, then we must be in the will of God. And there's others that teach the exact opposite, that when things get tough and when everything's challenging, that's when we're in the will of God. But neither of that is true, necessarily. What is true is that when we're in the will of God, we're in the will of God. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, and sometimes it feels like it's coming apart. But when you remember your why, you'll stay on mission, not letting the circumstances pull you off the trail. So we do accept the charge. Let us then prepare ourselves to leave the base camp and continue on our journey. Along the way, we will come across darkness, but we will respond with love. There will be pain, but we will have joy. When we are faced with violence, we will stand in peace. As we encounter trials, we will have patience. When we come upon anger, we will show kindness. When our associates are dishonest, we will reveal goodness. And when we are cheated, we will be faithful. So as we go, we will go seeking justice, loving mercy, and walking humbly.